Hi, this is Agent M. In this part of the tutorial you're going to learn how to configure custom brushes in Photoshop. In order to get the most out of this tutorial, you'll need a graphic tablet and a pressure-sensitive pen. So, let's put on the pressure. Good folks, let's get started with some practical steps in Photoshop now. Before you can start creating amazing artwork, I think we'll need to get you ready and familiar with your most important illustration tool in Photoshop. That would be the brush tool. The brush tool is located right here in the toolbox, and you probably already know or have seen that Photoshop actually has a lot of pre-configured brushes which are kind of resembling airbrushes and kind of analog style drawing tools. But the good news for you is that you can make this tool your own tool. So the next section of this tutorial is going to demonstrate how you can create and apply custom brushes in Photoshop and how you can use them together with your graphic tablet and your pressure sensitive pen. Photoshop actually lets you create and fine-tune all kind of brushes, ordinary brushes, analog style drawing tools like pencils for instance, and very specialized custom drawing tools. In a first step, we are going to create a brush which will have the look and feel of an ordinary HB pencil. HB is the most ordinary strength for the good old analog pencil tool. So, like everything in Photoshop, also this demonstration starts in creating a new file. So have a look in your main menu and choose File, New. There you have the preset picker, selecting predefined settings for new documents. Mine is set to web here. Well, really the preset does not matter because we are only going to use this file for creating our brushes. So I set it to web and I leave size and resolution as suggested here by the wizard. Just press OK and there you have your new file and a plain white canvas. So one thing I do all the time when I'm starting on new files in Photoshop, I'm going to unlock the background layer here. So I'm clicking on the background layer, a double click will rename this layer to layer 0. That's okay, I don't need to change the name here. I just press OK and then you see that it's unlocked and it's open for editing now. Make also sure that your foreground and background color are set to the defaults, black and white. You can change instantly to other combinations here by the quick icon. Good. So let's pick up the brush tool or hit B on your keyboard. If you have a Windows computer, B is the shortcut for the brush tool itself. And then we are going to visit the preset picker here. From the default brushes, on the very top, choose one of the soft round brushes, preferably soft round pressure size. This already is set to be pressure sensitive, so it should be our starting point. and adjust the diameter of the brush as I did here to 5 pixels, so a very small brush tip. So that's okay. This does not look and feel like an HB pencil right now. We need to make some further adjustments, and in order to do so, we can activate the brush section here over to the right in our collapsed pencil. So please open the brush options here. There you have all the available options for the tool we just picked. For instance, the brush tip shape, correctly set to 5 pixels here, and with a spacing of 25%. Spacing decides on if a stroke is getting smoother or more rough. So if I set this really to 220%, or adequate enormous percentage, then you can see that the spacing between the different sections is increased. So if you want to have a very, very smooth pencil stroke, you probably would like to set it even lower than the default. I'm going to set it here to about 10%. So the most important section in relation to our graphic tablet and our pressure sensitive pen actually are the shape dynamics. They should be checked on as a default because we took this pressure sensitive brush actually. But let's have a closer look at the options here. So control should be set to pen pressure. If your graphic tablet is connected, you will not see a warning here at the left side of the control. You might see a kind of alert sign if your graphic tablet is not correctly installed, or if you don't have a graphic tablet attached. I would like to define a minimum diameter for this brush. The minimum diameter of the brush should be about 30%. If you don't want to operate the sliders, you can also just type the according values in those boxes. The other values do not really matter, but please feel free also to play around with them and find probably your own custom values. Probably make this pencil even better than I'm going to demonstrate. Interesting for us is also the transfer section. So make the transfer section available, and there you already can see, if you are playing a bit with the opacity jitter, you can add some transparency to your stroke so that it's resembling more like an analog style pencil drawing stroke. I'm going to choose a very low value here, so just that it resembles a pencil a bit, like 10% probably. Flow jitter I don't need to touch here. Smoothing is very important. You like to check this on. And when you are ready with all those adaptions, well, we can just try our new brush. I'm going to collapse this pencil again, and then I'm taking my pressure sensitive pen, and with the foreground color set to black, I'm going to try some strokes with this pencil. Oh, it works actually very, very nice. Precise tool here, right? So I'm drawing a happy face. Funny hair. Ah, nice. So I think I keep this tool. Probably I should add anyway a bit more opacity jitter to my brush. So I try this out. I'm visiting the brush section again. Opacity jitter, that was under the transfer section. So I think I'm going to scale it a bit up, probably about 20%. And then I would like to see how it behaves now with my pressure sensitive pen here. Yeah, you can see, so if I'm not pressing so hard, I have also a kind of different opacity in the stroke. So this is actually kind of very nice feeling. Now probably I can increase the opacity jitter to 25%. That should be sufficient. So if I'm adding some shoes here and try some hatching. All right. So that feels nice. I think I'm content with my pencil style brush. And that means I would like to save it now as a preset so that I have access to this configured brush anytime. To save this brush now finally, you would activate the tool presets here, right? And there you can, from the current active brush, create a new tool preset here. So I'm going to click it, and there I can give a custom name for my brush. This is a pencil-like brush, so I'm going to name it Pencil, of course. And the strength should be a kind of HB pencil. For example, a pencil which would be of strength B would be much softer, smoother, and have a broader stroke. And so that I can identify this brush as a brush I made for this tutorial, I add the suffix tutorial to my brush. If you would like to bind your brush to a special color, you could include the color. Sometimes it is nice to switch it, but for this pencil tool, I'm going to include the black color, and I'm pressing OK. Now, if you have a look at your preset section, it might look a bit different than mine, because I have configured already a lot of custom brushes here. There should be your pencil brush ready for use. The pencil we just created is an amazing tool for outlining, for hatching. If we want to color our artwork, we might need a bigger brush, a kind of airbrush. So that's what we are going to create right now. Going to collapse the tool presets again. Then I make sure that I have picked my brush tool. And from the preset picker, I'm choosing a brush which is soft, round, and the pressure is, well, neither set to size nor to opacity. I'm going to just pick an ordinary soft, round brush. And I'm adjusting the diameter here to about, what shall we say, 25 pixels or even 30, and just make it a bit bigger. So then have a look in your brush section again, right? So there again we have the brush tip shape, where we can control the size and the spacing. That means we can make it a bit more spaced, actually spacey. Wow, this is a spacey brush, right? But I'm going to reduce the spacing a bit, probably to 10%, and I still have got those nice white edges around my airbrush. Shape dynamics could be interesting here with a minimum diameter of, well, that is probably a bit bigger, 45%. And important here is the brush projection. The brush projection actually triggers a kind of airbrush feeling. And transfer is also interesting here. Opacity jitter is varying just a bit, probably 2%. Let's try this out. And the build-up feature here is triggering the airbrush mode, as you can see. So this looks nice. Well, let us see if we can use this actually for some purposes. I'm going to change my foreground color here to kind of blue, shade of cold blue. And then on the same layer, just for demonstration purposes, I'm going to try my brush here, my airbrush, and trying to paint those pans here. But yeah, right. Has a nice feeling. I can always change the size of the brush instantly. Right. So now I can take a bit more like face colored color here too, kind of color a bit of the face here. So yeah, well, nice brush anyway, right? Nice brush. So I want to keep it. This brush is, I think, a very good brush for all kind of coloring purposes. I'm going to save it using my tool presets here. Current tool only. This shows in the tool presets the options for the current tool. It's probably a good idea if you have a lot of pre-configured brushes to check this on. And then I'm going to create a new tool preset. I'm going to name this airbrush soft round, and I'm also going to use the suffix tutorial for this brush, and I'm not including the color this time. Okay, here we go. The third and last brush we are going to create here is already a very specialized custom tool, a tool which you won't find in any of the tool presets Photoshop has to offer you. It's going to be a brush tool which will let you draw even more sophisticated lines and details. Therefore, it's called the Diamond Detailer. It will also come in very handy for all the following chapters of the whole course. In order to create this Diamond Detailer brush, I'm going to create first of all a new layer above my small doodled illustration here. So I'm going to click on the new layers icon here, that I'm getting a second layer on top of the first one. I'm going to collapse my tool presets as well. And before we proceed, make sure that you have reset your foreground color to black. This is going to be important. Then take the rectangular marquee tool or hit M on your Windows keyboard. You would like to check if the style is set to normal. That is fine. And then, well, any place on this newly create layer, draw a perfect square or open a perfect square with the marquee tool. To open a perfect square, you would like to hold the Shift key down on your keyboard, because this is constraining the proportions to a perfect square, probably about 140 pixels. Right. Hold the selection open and fill it with the foreground color. You can of course use the paint bucket tool to do so, but there's also a shortcut for this action, and this is an action you're going to use a lot. Filling with foreground color, that is on a Windows keyboard, Alt and Backspace. Here we are. Now we are going to create a kind of diamond form out of this shape. It's still a square, so we need to rotate the whole form onto its top. I'm going to press Ctrl T on my keyboard. This brings the transformation tool up, and then I'm going to rotate the whole form onto its tip. So make sure that you can see this little rotation icon beside the shape we just created. And then hold down the Shift key again on your keyboard, because this is constraining the rotation to a 15 degrees step. So 15, 30, 45. And then apply the transformation by clicking on any tool in your toolbox and saying apply the transformation. That's fine. And deselect. Control plus D. Now let's go and define the shape we created as a new tool brush tip. In order to do so, we need to make a selection, a close selection around the shape. So you take the rectangular marquee tool again and then try by holding Shift down again to draw a selection around this brush tip as close as it can get. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to navigate it in place. So like this. I just check if I'm on the right layer. I'm still on the right layer, so everything is okay. Then from your File menu, no, it actually is the Edit menu. If you scroll down a bit, you will find the menu item Define Brush Preset, and that is actually what we are going to use now. So hit Define Brush Preset. There you can see our brush shape here, our brush tip shape, and we just need to assign a good name for it. A really good name for this tool is the Diamond Detailer Tutorial. Okay, here we go. At this point, we can just delete everything we created so far on this layer 1. So the selection is still open. I just press delete and deselect, Ctrl plus D, everything is gone. Now let's see if we can use our new brush already. It should be available now if you select the brush tool or B on your Windows keyboard. It should be selectable here from the preset picker. You might need to scroll down, and there it is. All right, the shape, the tool we just created, the Diamond Detailer Tutorial. It's really a large size here, so I'm going to resize it a bit, and then I can try to use it, and you can see that is interesting, but it's probably not the effect we were aiming at. So this brush needs definitely a bit more fine-tuning. To fine-tune our Diamond Detailer, we have to visit the brush section again. There you can see our brush, very precise preview actually down here. Now, first of all, the brush tip shape again. 44 pixels is still way too big. I'm going to reduce this to about 15 pixels. You can see in the preview that I still got those edged outlines here. I can reduce them by reducing the spacing. So actually I'm setting the spacing to 1%, and this will result in a more smooth stroke. Shape dynamics are also going to be applied to this brush. Minimum diameter 45 is probably a bit too big, or it's a bit too low. I'm actually setting this up to 75%. No brush projection. That is important that you make this unchecked so that it's getting a bit more smooth here. Then let's check on the transfers section. Opacity jitter set to pen pressure is okay. 2% or lower. Right, you can see that the opacity jitter will affect the aesthetic of this brush. So I'm going to reduce this to a possible minimum. Smoothing should be checked on. Well, wet edges we don't really need here, just to demonstrate what all the other options are capable of. So we have shape dynamics applied, transfer and smoothing. The diamond detailer should be ready to use. So let's try it on our artwork. First of all, I am deleting everything I created on layer 1 by Ctrl A, selecting everything and deleting it. Then I'm going to deselect, and my diamond detailer now should be ready. Let's try some strokes. All right, very good. So you can see that you have a very precise and graphic control now over your strokes. So it's probably too big for my drawing here, so I'm reducing the size a bit. Let's go back in the history here and try this again. Right, so a very precise and graphic tool for stressing your outlines probably, but also for some coloring purposes. This is really great. What we need to do now is to configure this brush as a preset. You can create a new brush also from here, from the brush presets directly. I have here the Diamond Detailer Tutorial as a name. I'm going to capture the brush size in the preset, and I'm pressing OK. Now if you have a look at your preset section, there the Diamond Detailer is not available because it's now laid in here. Right, here's our Diamond Detailer tutorial. So I can delete the original one, and then I have my Diamond Detailer here. If I want to make this available as a preset, I'm defining this as a new preset here, Diamond Detailer Tutorial, and pressing OK, and there we are. Hope you had fun so far. See you in the next part, or in the next world, or in the next life.